Alright, welcome back to the channel. We are continuing our playthrough and tutorial of the marble tournament. And if you haven't watched marble tournament tutorial provinces 1 to 20, then you should just go there and watch that first, because most of the initial info and review isn't there. Here we will do our usual, hopefully quick run through provinces 21 to 50 to see how distribution of losses look like for different matchups and what the overall losses per each 10 additional 10 provinces look like. So if you watch the provinces 1 to 20, excellent. If not, go watch them now. But in the meantime, here we will just start with province 21. And again, probably minimum commentary here, because most of the matchups we already reviewed, so we'll just look at some unusual losses, both on high and low end. Okay, so here's we have Blossom Princesses, one Mistwalker, that's kind of what you would expect, about 10%, give or take. That's our Bud Sorcerer, and against one Mistwalker. That's actually pretty good. Normally you would see higher losses in this matchup. So we will like it this time around. Now the Blossom Princess should do really well here. Yep. As you can see, because we have a lot more units in the stack, so the stack of a single Mistwalker here is actually significantly smaller if we comparing to when we would have, let's say, just 3 units in a stack or in a lineup. So that means, and that's basically where our losses are attributed to this single Mistwalker. The fewer they are, the smaller our losses are going to be, and that's, well, that's actually pretty good, probably slightly better than expected, but yeah, still pretty close to what you would expect. Again, quite a few units here, only single Mistwalker, we should do alright here. Yeah, that's more what you would expect, like we're in a range of like 10% or so. I think that's basically the same matchup. Yeah, and you see, like previously, in the previous one we did about 10%, here we are not even cracking 5%, so yeah, that's within the range. That's kind of what you would expect there. That was on the lighter side. Yep, again, very few losses, but not exactly the average, I'd say. It's probably on the better side. Yeah, that's more like what you would see there. So, but sorcerers, again, that went relatively okay, so only about 10% or so. You can see losses in 20 to 30% range with bad sorcerers here, that's for sure. We'll see if we can catch that. Okay, that's Poison Dread, no heavy range. Yeah, sort of like 7-8% losses. That sounds about right. Yeah, this one we already saw quite variable. Yeah, you see that's here, we just got dinged with 20, if not more, percent. But sometimes you literally get like 3% in the same matchup, so this one was on the heavy side. 10%, that's probably on the low side. Usually we would see more there. More losses, that is. That should do well. Yeah, that's representative. I mean, you have no country units, Blossom Princesses just do very well. Poison Dreads, no heavy range. Yeah, that's not unexpected. Usually it works slightly worse, but not by much. Okay. Okay, yeah, you see, that's another one where we basically got jinked by almost 20%. They just split into two. Again, on the heavy side, not always the case. And for golems, yeah, 20%, that's kind of the average, I'd say, for that matchup. Yeah, I mean, nothing to say here for those really tiny losses, so... Okay, 25. So, yeah, again, 10%, I'd say that's on the low side. Yeah, here I don't expect really any material losses, if at all. Yeah, you see, like, well, actually, no, we did have some losses. So yeah, somehow they managed to actually get all the way to the light range and managed to smack them up, so interesting. Yeah, here I definitely expect more losses than that. Yeah, 20%. That's not unusual for this one. This is one of the worst matchups in this tournament. I think we've seen even more than that. Yeah. That's kind of 10%. Not unexpected here. Yeah, I was on the low side, so it was a good result. Yeah, almost no, actually no losses whatsoever. Nice. Not exactly representative, but does happen, as you can see. Okay, yep, very few losses again. And here comes a Poison Dreads. Okay, that was actually somewhat unexpected. Usually you would see more here because again, we only have three stacks there of enemies, and one of them is the Mistwalker, which is basically comparable, have the same initiative, blah blah blah. So I guess they did something right, and if we went first, they probably shot this one first. Which you definitely can't count on from the automatic AI perspective, but yeah, well, that worked out. Good for us. Again, no losses. Nice, but somewhat unexpected. Not entirely unexpected. Okay, yeah, that's, you see, like now we're getting into like what, 25-ish% losses on bad sources. That's actually quite more what I would expect from this matchup, let's put it like that. Yep, almost no losses. And the same. So with a single Mistwalker in there, and especially if it's a small number of units in there, Blossom Princesses do very well. Yeah, that's one of the few matchups where I expect bad sources to do relatively well. Yeah, you can see about 5% or so. That sounds about right. Yeah. Okay. Do we get no losses here? Nope, no losses this time. Okay, let's see. Okay, so yeah, again, about 20%. So as you can see, like this matchup is our about 20% losses, kind of relatively consistent. Okay, 10%, that's not too bad. Yeah, I think we only have 2 matchups for golems in this tournament. Well, I mean, in the province 10 plus. Okay, that's actually, yeah, you see, like, sometimes you get this more than 10, 12 something percent on blossom princesses, and sometimes you get almost nothing. Yeah, again, about 15, so that's probably on the high end. Well, 0 of course is, well, less than I normally would expect. Yeah, I see this one is, again, went really well for our light range units. And here comes the province 30. Alright, let's see. What did we lose so far? Okay, yeah, nice. You see here, almost no losses. And so, but sorcerers, okay, 20%, yeah. Sort of par for the course. Okay, 10. Yeah, that's more what I would normally expect from kind of like this single Mistwalker in the mix versus so like 5 to 10% losses, I'd say about average. You can get 0, almost 0 there, or sometimes you can get 15. But both of these are not that common. Okay, so here's our next 10 provinces. So provinces 21 to 30. Let's see. So, and that went almost exactly the same as the previous 20th hour. So we got 21 squads in terms of our losses versus 20 squads on provinces 1 to 20. Okay, let's see. Yep, and that's pretty consistent to my previous run in the marble tournament. So yeah, these are fairly consistent numbers. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what we're gonna get in provinces 31 to 40. Here's our benches. Okay, 10, 12, something like that. Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, and poison darts, yeah. Affected. Yeah, and you see, so as I pointed out before, sometimes you get almost no losses on this matchup, sometimes you get up to 15, but usually it's 5 to 10. Okay, and again, 20%, this one is fairly consistent. Basically, when you're fielding range units against range units, at least mostly, then the results are relatively consistent because the terrain plays less of an effect comparing to, yeah, as you can see here, we play our range units, heavy range units versus enemies heavy range and light range units. So that means it's range all over, so that's usually very consistent. Yeah, this one is slightly less than that, but yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, again, not very common, but you see we have almost no losses, even though we had 1 out of 3 light range unit. Well, actually, it almost sounds like it's relatively common, but you certainly can count on that. All right. And what do we have here? Yep, yeah, as I said, that's kind of getting close to 15, but sometimes we're getting 0. All right, so I want to see more than 20. Okay, that's more than 20. I mean, barely, but yeah, that certainly can happen with bot sorcerers. And remember, that's just 2-star province. So, and not to mention, a crap ton of boosts all over. Not a very competitive unit. Not at that stage of the game. Okay, well that was again, it almost looks like in that matchup close to 0 losses is more of a norm. Yeah, that's 5 to 10, as I said, par for the course. Yeah, we're gonna get 30. Okay, that's again more than 20. Not quite 30. But I'm pretty sure I did see 30% in this matchup with bot sorcerers. So that can happen. We'll see if we'll manage to reproduce it in this playthrough. And again, let's see if we get close to 0. Okay, well, you see again, the last matchup that we had, this was almost 0 losses, but here we're, well, not quite at 10%. Well, might be actually close to 10%. That's still not a bad range, if I say so myself. 0 to 10% losses per encounter. I'll take that. That's a good range. Okay, yeah, that was actually less than 20%. Oh, that's good. Exceeded expectations. Well, this one did not. This one was on the heavy side. Okay, poison dreads. Not 0, but still pretty good. So that was kind of more expected value. Alright, let's see how these benches are gonna do. Okay, yeah, that's more of the, not the heaviest losses we have certainly seen this one. This is kind of like mid, because we have seen quite a few of almost 0. We have seen a few at about 20% losses, and this one is about half of that. Okay, that's not too bad, but as I said, this one is about 20% fairly consistently. Okay, that's nice. And very few losses. Okay. So we're getting to page 5. Okay, not amazing. That should do fine. Yeah, I see like 10% on the no country units. That's pretty good, but also kind of expected. I mean, pretty good for the bot sorcerers, that is. Okay. Yeah, same. 20% or so. Okay. How about this one? That should do well. Well, you see, that's kind of the weird stuff again. As you can see, we have only one Mistwalker here, and that's one of the 8 enemy units. So one would think, and we have certainly have seen this lineup of 5 Blossom Princess versus I think 5 or 6 similar stacks do with almost no losses. You would expect this would do even better because that's the relatively smaller size. But no, we actually did have like what, 15 or so. So that did not work well, relatively speaking. Okay, and yeah, you see, like we saw this once, I think, with almost no losses. And here we're getting about 5 to 10 maybe. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. Yeah, so you see, like that's more than 20%, but also kind of representative. This is one of the worst matchups again in this tournament, so luckily they don't pop up very often. Yeah, and you see this one, pretty much no losses. And here I hope for really no losses. And indeed we have 0 losses whatsoever. Well, you can guess which matchup is my favorite. Okay, 39. Okay, again, that's exactly what I was talking about. So in exactly the same matchup, we did have almost no losses, and now we are above 15%. So that's one of the worst results for these matchups. Yeah, that's again above 20%. So not uncommon, but not the worst what I've seen. Yeah, and here you see I have almost no loss. So like terrain plays a big part, even if you're doing auto combat. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it plays no role. In fact, when the game receives the results of auto combat, it actually does send really a record of all the moves done by both sides. So it really replaces or plays actually the turn-by-turn combat between two sides and gets you the result. So it's not some approximation, it really plays them, it just doesn't show it to you. And you have no control obviously on that. But that also means that terrain plays just the same role as if you would be fighting manually. Well, except for the fact that it's the, well, AI, if you want to call it that, makes the moves for you. All right, not too shabby. And I think, did we get to the 40? Yes. All right, so we've done provinces 31 to 40. Let's see what our losses. Okay. So all right, so as expected, our losses are increasing. I mean, who would have thought about that? The deeper you go, the more losses you have. And for 21 to 30, we've got about 36 squads lost. So yeah, that's up from 21 on the 21 to 30. All right, so let's see how our last sequence of provinces 41 to 50 is going to turn out. All right. Okay, that's actually probably less than expected slightly. We expect 0 losses here, and that's exactly what we get. Here we do not expect 0 losses. And we didn't get, so yeah, that's 20% again. Kinda expected. Yeah, sometimes you have 0 losses here or close to that. This time is not 0. So I guess it's on the heavier side, but still pretty good. Okay, this one should do okay. Yep, less than 10%, I'll take that. And yeah. Do we get 0? Yep, we get 0. Yeah, this one is a really unfair matchup, you know. Yeah, your highest initiative ranged unit with crap ton of heavy boosts on both sides versus slowest moving melee unit on the opponent side. Yeah, that's not really not a fair fight, but that's kind of the idea. You don't want to be in a fair fight. You want to be in a fight where you have an advantage. Well, that is if you care about winning. Okay, so you see this one. Again, that's probably on the heaviest, one of the heaviest losses for these kinds of matchups that I have seen. So it's 20. And we only have 1 out of 7 Mistwalkers. Pretty heavy for what it is. Okay, that's average. Yeah, you see it's almost the same what we saw, and we're kind of getting into, no, I think that's about 10-12%, so not 20. Yep, slightly more than 20 for butt sorcerers, that's pretty good. And should be low. Yeah, 5-ish or so. I'll take that. How about banshees? Okay, that's about average, 10-12% or so. This one, do we get about 20? Well, that's actually really on the low side. That's about 10. That's way actually lower than we would normally see. And yeah. And Prunes 45. So do we get 20? Not quite. So again, so I suppose it's on the light side, about 15. This one, should we get 0? Yep. My favorite one. And this one is not my favorite one, but actually we did fairly well here. Again, 20% here wouldn't be unexpected, and we did, I think, better than 10. So that was a pretty good result. Yeah. Nothing to write home about. Okay, page 6, last page here. And 5 more provinces. So is it 20? No, again, like, look. We're overachieving with golems in the last few encounters. So that's good. Yeah, you see? And here we have for all practical purposes, 0 losses. And sometimes in the same matchup you get 20. So that's that. You can just look at a single encounter and assume that's representative. All right. Okay, yeah, that's more like our usual 20. So, and that should be more our usual 0. And it is. And okay, all right. So you see, that's what I mentioned. That's probably one of the heaviest losses that we have seen in this tournament in general. I mean, in this playthrough at least, in 2 stars, in any of the matchups, and that's not even a bad. It's just a bad matchup, as I said, for the units that we have. So it's about 30% loss against our light range, and yeah, that's more than I'd say 20% here is about average, so this one is quite a bit worse. But yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Interestingly, I think our heaviest loss didn't come from so far at least, didn't come from bad sorceress. Came from poison dryad. That's interesting. Again, not something I would. Yeah, 0 losses. Wouldn't say is exactly representative, but yeah, that's the same matchup that we just had. 30%, and look. Well, there are still some losses here, but well, let's see. That's less than 20%. Close to that. So yeah, that's more representative of this matchup. And it's the same exact thing that they had on their side, exact the same thing that we had on our side, but different terrain. Probably. Okay, 49. Oh yeah, this should be a good one. Yep. And that should be okay. That was okay. Not amazing, but it was okay. Yep, almost no losses. That was a good result, actually. And again, this matchup. Damn it. I have a lot of this stuff here. Okay, and you see this one went even better. So that's definitely less than 20%. It's 15, if that, probably even less than that. So you see, here we're looking at range of from 15 to, if not less, to about 30. That's quite a range. Especially if you start getting these matchups like that more often. Like here, it doesn't really matter that much because they're not that common. But if you have some matchups where that occur frequently, yeah, that was good, and have high variability, then even if you do everything the same, yeah, you see, okay, that's another one. What did we have here? 20. Yeah, again, almost, well, not exactly, not quite 30, but way more than 20 for sure. Again, so on the heavier side than usual. That was pretty good. And let's look at benches. And yeah, they did quite alright here. Definitely less than 20%. That wouldn't be unexpected. And that's that. That's our 50 provinces. So let's take a look. What did we get? in terms of the final total of our losses. Alright, so for the provinces 41 to 50, we've lost 42 squads. So, if we just sum them up, so we dumped about 20 squads on provinces 1 to 20. Then the next 10 went for another 20, well, 21. The next 10 went for 36. And the next 10, 41 to 50, went for 42 squads. So that means our totals for the 2-star 50 provinces are slightly less than 120 squads. That's pretty good again, like for the same runs in other provinces. Quite often you would have more than that. I mean, obviously it's not steel. We would have even less than that, but it's lower than most of the other tournaments, at least the way I play them. The first 50, I mean 1-star 50, in order to get here, was 95. So that means our total for 2-star provinces, 50 of them, 1 and 2 stars, I sacrificed slightly more than 200 squads total, so 213. Again, that's on the low side. It's fairly consistent with my previous run, so that's, I'd say, fairly representative again of that play and these boosts. And then there's that. So, as I said before, if you liked it, hit like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see more. And with that, I hope to see you soon. See ya.